Sponsored by Local Touch Online, a free online magazine that has an exclusive article by Pop Culture Geekery every month. Also sponsored by New City Bakery, fresh baked goods that include homemade cookies, cakes, pan dulce, and homemade tortillas. Visit them today at facebook.com/New City Bakery. All right, so we have survived the frozen tundra that is Colorado to trudge our way here to Mile High Comics, and we are with David Sandin. And what is your title here? I ask.
I'm the store manager.
Store manager.
Yes.
And what a store you have to manage.
I will agree.
Yeah. How long have you been the store manager here?
Here just for about 9 months, but Mile High's been in business for over almost 50 years now, coming up on February 6th of next year. We've had multiple locations, mostly here, but we also had one in California. Most of them have closed down now, all of them actually, and this is our main location. We have evolved into this gigantic mega store that we have here. We have over 10 million books back here that are inventoried. On sale on our website at all times. And it's just, this is what it's become.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing and it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I pretty much describe it to people as the Costco of comics. Like, you know, that way they understand warehouse, not store anymore,
Yes.
Warehouse. So,
as I stated, this back here is our warehouse for our internet, for our website. Mario just walked by over here. He's our nice subscription service. He ships new books all over the world also. Wow. Yeah, and that's just back here. We'll show you more as we go along the store here.
So I know the owner is Chuck. Unfortunately, he wasn't here today. But you know, so what do you know? What was his inspiration to start? You know, over 50 years ago at this point.
He just loves comics.
Yeah.
He's always wanted to sell books.
Yeah.
He literally doesn't want us to sell his comics at all. I'll sell a big book out of one of our cases up front, and he gets mad at me because I sold one of his great books. I mean, it's hilarious, but that's just the way he feels about it.
Yeah, it's like his collection, but it's for sale, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is exactly what it is. Let's go over here.
Sure.
These racks here are a solution to a problem we had many, many, many years ago, before I was even here, about overcrowding of long boxes. Because when you have to shift books into them, if you have a whole bunch of something, you have to keep shifting all the books. So they came up with a solution to do 10 packs. So basically each one of these is 10 of the same issues. Okay? Each one of these racks, each side holds 100,000 books. Wow. And as you can tell, there's tons of racks here. Yeah. So, I mean, they go all the way down over into there. So, yeah, there's tons of books in this building.
And that makes sense. Obviously, when you get to this scale, you have to come up with some sort of system, to
Exactly.
keep it all in line and not drive yourself crazy, or trying to find stuff. Because I know here soon we're going to be looking for a few key issues we're looking for. So how does that work? Do we talk to an employee, or is there? I saw a front desk up there.
Exactly. I mean, we have a help desk back here that can help you find books that we have on our website or in our store. Most of our key issues will be put on our website. So at any time, you just go to the website. If we have it, there you go.
Yeah.
So,
And you mentioned that you used to have several. You kind of brought it all to this. That's kind of the story we've heard across the nation, different stores. So what have you guys done to make sure that you evolve with the ever-changing market?
we've done a lot more pop culture stuff and diversified and just make it to where you come in here and it's an event, as opposed to just going to pick up your new comics, which is the biggest thing.
And speaking of events, you actually have a mini con going on today for
Actually, it's ForeverCon, and they asked us if they could host it here this year, and we were like, sure, why not? So since we didn't charge them a fee to do it here, they are offering free entry. So we have 2 days worth of a mini convention. With the Marvel movies, we've seen, with any movie that's been released, we always see increase in sales on that title. Or first appearances of characters. We'll see an increase in sales on that issue. But outside of that, it's a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
It's big when it hits, and then it goes back away.
So I guess you said he's done it for over. I guess when we hit 60 here soon, is there going to be a big celebration?
Well, we're going to do a big deal with Wizard World on the February 6th, because they're going to hold their first convention here, and they're on board with us. So we're going to try to hold a pre-convention party here for that event. Everything here is on rollers, so we can move things around, because this is not our normal new book section. We have 8 weeks worth of books here, but they normally sit back in the back over here. Let's go back over here. So they're normally sitting back in here, but they needed a panel section for the ForeverCon, so we can move everything around to accommodate what we need. Because we normally hold auctions back here once a month. We actually hold wrestling up where the ForeverCon is once a month. We hold a monthly drag show, all ages drag show up there. We have poker events once a month. I mean, we do tons of stuff in this building. So that's why I say we diversified heavily. But we have all these showcases and everything back inside of here. We have tons of action figures. Tons of action figures.
Yeah.
We have a whole area back here that we process books. We call it the wheel. So it's all the stuff that we have not processed to see if we need yet. We go through and pull out anything like key issues or hot books and things like that, and then we put it all back there. And Chris, our guy that works back there, he goes through it all, alphabetizes it, numerical, and then looks on lists from our website to see if we need it. And he's pulled, in the last month, probably 2 pallets worth of long whites that we're putting on our system. So, oh, this is Cambridge. Hello, Cambridge. You want to say hi to the camera? This is the queen of the building. She rules everything. She's back here probably hiding out because of all the people. Yeah, no biting.
Leave it to my wife to find a cat.
Oh yeah. Oh, she's been running around all day. Hey, stop it! Stop it!
It's okay. I'm familiar with that play.
Stop it!
That's the play bite.
Yeah.
My kitty does it too.
But yeah, we definitely have a cat in here, and it's very popular. Very, very popular. But yeah, all this is up right now, mostly due to the fact that is just for the con. It's there's a green room back there and things like that. But yeah, we have more action figures. We have a whole kids section here. Tons of Funko Pops. And then we go into trade paperbacks, where this is all of our inventory, store inventory. If she catches up.
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking at all our props.
Yeah.
I can go over those too. Yeah, this is all our store inventory on our trade paperbacks. All of our props, actually, we've bought them from places, and one of them was a local customer who came in and said, "Hey, can I put this Gambit statue, which you guys can see over there? Can I put this here so I can advertise my business? I'll build models for anybody." Well, since the Gambit, we've had him build Captain Marvel, Nightcrawler, which is over there, and the Carnage statue. So, yeah, actually that X-Wing fighter over there, just to get a good shot of it, we had a couple come in, because this store's been open for 9 years. When they first came in, it was probably 2 years in, they came in and asked, "Hey, can we be married here? We want to have our Star Wars wedding here." So they built that X-Wing. And then they came back after their honeymoon and was like, "Hey, we'll tear it down for you." And we're like, "No, we'll keep it up." So yeah, so that was for a marriage. We've had people come in and have their class photos, their yearbook photos done here. So, but yeah, and then over here is Frank, but ignore him. These are our shelves of trade paperbacks. This is our inventory for our website of trades, not including the ones on that I just said for the store. This is over 300,000 trade paperbacks that we have on our website. So yeah, so that's basically most of the store.
We were actually on our way out, but we were fortunate enough to be introduced to the owner of Mile High Comics, Chuck and Betty. And so they were able to do an interview with us, but we did have some trouble with the microphone. So I'm going to share with you what I was able to recover, and that way you can hear some amazing insight from this person who has been in the comic industry for over 50 years. So, everybody, when they first come to comics, they have their story of what appealed to them. I know I have my personal story of what appealed to me. So what was it about the genre that is comic books that spoke to you?
Well, I've always been a believer that graphic storytelling is just as legitimate, and in fact maybe more so legitimate, than film or standard written, or it's an amalgam of all sorts of different types of storytelling. And so it sort of offended me on some levels that most of the adults in my world back in the 60s and the early 70s somehow equated comics with uneducated. Comics were for the uneducated and people who couldn't read rail books. They used to call them in the Army. They used to call them OCS training manuals, Officer Candidate School Training Manuals, and I found that offensive. And I really believed that the works of art that were being produced, especially the pieces by people like Kirby and Lee, were greatly underrated and should be appreciated as more. And since then, comics have exploded, and that's been a wonderful thing because it's totally validated everything that I ever said.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. In the last decade, we've a huge movie, especially with the Marvel movies. Do you feel like that's changed the perspective for people on what comic books really mean?
No, I actually think the movies are a step backwards. I think that when you're dealing with stories that are much more interesting, but they're still being done in graphic novel or comics format, and I'm thinking of classic type stories like The Death of Captain Marvel by Jim Starlin, which really on many levels speaks to the death of his own father. Those are the types of illustrated stories that I think change the world. I could give a damn. They're just out there to make money off of old stories and recycle them. And God bless them for doing that. They've introduced a bajillion more people in China to the Marvel Universe, none of whom will ever spend a dime on anything I sell. So I could give a rap.
So what do you feel like has come into the store? Like, do you see, more new generations coming in, more children, things that are showing that we are reaching the next generation to make sure that this medium continues?
Well, I think here in our store we do, because we've made a real effort to turn this store into a family center. And so it is not a comic book store, it's not a toy store, it's a store where parents can bring their kids and they get lost. And they forget about time, and they forget about place, and they just interact with each other, and they run from one end to another end to another end to another end. I intentionally built this store as a labyrinth. It has dead ends, it has blind corners, it has all sorts of places where all of a sudden you realize that you've got to turn around, backtrack, go in a different direction. I did that on purpose because I don't want it to be an easy store to navigate. I don't want it to look like Walmart or Kmart. I want it to be almost like like Disneyland. Remember when you used to go to Disneyland when you back in the 70s when they would give you the maps and you'd be sitting there trying to figure out how the hell do I get from Frontierland to Tomorrowland? Well, that's kind of like what the store is built like, except I don't give out maps.
Yeah. No, and I mean, it goes without saying this store is amazing. I mean, what you've achieved here is amazing. That's why it was definitely one of my places to visit, and so I know when I do say thank you for what you've done here, because it is truly amazing. And yes, those of us who are fans of comics, we do hope to continue, and I know that's part of our is to stores like yours and others across the nation. So thank you so much for what you do.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate that you do see what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. I'm in my 60s now, and I see the world as being incredibly fragile. And in the course of being fragile, what that means to me is that institutions that we value and that we think are so important in our lives can just suddenly evaporate and go away. The pace of change that I've seen, so much is dependent on individuals and their strength and their energies. And I will guarantee you that Mile High Comics would be diminished if I were not here and could not continue to inject my energy into this enterprise. I have a great team here. They're wonderful, wonderful people, but my madness goes a long way. And it really is madness. I own this building, and this building I've got $5 million in equity in this building. I don't need to do this. I do this because I think it's super important that we continue to proselytize about the fact that graphic storytelling is a medium which absolutely deserves respect. And in that regard, I'm speaking for the dead, because I'm speaking for people like Will Eisner and Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, all of whom were my personal friends, and for whom I think that I owe an obligation to carry on and to make sure that the young kids that come in here don't just see superhero toys, but they also get exposed to superhero literature, and then from there into other alternative storytelling that provides them with a beauty and acceptance of the medium, not just of that particular genre or character. And so that's what my life purpose is at this point. I have 10 million comics right now, and I don't need any more really, but we buy more every day. The beauty of this store, of the Jason Street store, is that now that we got rid of all the distractions, we no longer have any smaller stores, we don't have anything else. All we do every day is to try and make this store better. And we buy 10, 15 collections a day from people walking in off the street, and it is the sum of those collections that keeps adding to the complexity and the diversity of what we can offer people. And it just makes me super, super happy.
Yes. And you make us happy by having this store. So I hope some of you out there eventually can make the trip. It is more than worth it. So for us, it was, fortunate that we got to meet you and got to check out the store. So Thanks again. We appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you. And if anybody ever gets a chance, once a month we have all ages drag shows here, and we would love to have you come by and support those. Aside from owning Mile High Comics, I'm also a transgender activist here in the United States, and I think that's another cause that I found later in my life that's been very important. So God bless you all, and remember, love is love.
Thank you.